A listener warning. Please be advised that this episode contains content that may be disturbing to some listeners, including descriptions of violence. Listener discretion is advised.
Life upon the wicked stage ain't ever what a girl supposes.
I'm Jen.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Olivia.
And we are, in fact, three different people.
This podcast focuses on true crime under the spotlight of arts and entertainment. So grab your beverage of choice and settle in.
Places, ladies.
Here's our episode.
Let's get into the episode. Why we're actually here. I've got my shit wine today. So I will say, I've got to open with a quote. I'm going to be reading both parts here. We're going to do a little rating here. I'm hard to get, Steve. All you have to do is ask me. You know what you're getting into. It's going to be rough. That was me being Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart.
Well done.
To have and have not, which is going to become very important in our episode.
Yes,
today.
it is.
We're going to unpack the Battling Bogarts. This episode, it's I feel like Stefan again, but it has everything. This episode has World War I. It has Moscow mules. What? It has 1940s psychiatry. It's got Casablanca.
Lobotomies.
I was just going to say lobotomies.
It's got stabbery.
Oh my God.
And we're going to find out what the old lady from Titanic has to do with any of this.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
It's been 84 years.
84 years.
We're gonna get into it because you will not see it coming. It's great.
Oh my God.
I would like to
stabbery.
Say, I mean, it's Jen. I can't.
Don't get away. Don't get away.
I can't.
Because I know nothing about this at all, so I'm very excited.
Olivia, do you know who these people are?
I know who. Wow.
I mean, honestly, it's a valid question with how many movies you haven't seen.
I haven't seen To Have and Have Not.
Oh, it's so good.
But I know who Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart are, you bitches.
Okay. So I will say, listeners, To Have and Have Not, we're going to talk about it a little bit, but if I don't remember to come back to this later, To Have and Have Not came out 2 years after Casablanca.
Anthony Perkins.
To Have and Have Not is basically like Casablanca light. It is so similar. Like, if you've seen both movies and they both star Humphrey Bogart, if you're like, wait, didn't they already make this movie? The short answer is kind of yes.
Oh, okay.
Very, very similar. There's not Nazis in To Have and Have Not, like, expressly. It's more just like gangsters, but it's very similar. Very, very similar. So, yes. I would like to say, again, a little disclaimer at the outset of this episode. Two different things. The first one being, I would like us to just bear in mind the fact that people contain multitudes. And some of our figures that we talk about on these episodes, it's very black and white. We were just talking again this afternoon via our text thread about Dan Wozniak, the thumb of community theater from season 1. Murdered some folks. Very black and white. Dan Wozniak is just a piece of shit, and that's fine. This is a story about people who contain multitudes, but also I think context really matters on a lot of the things we're going to talk about with this episode, because some of the facts on their face can feel like, oh my God. And then, you know, a little bit more about like the person or a little bit more about the circumstances. And it's like, okay, still not great. I'll also say here at the outset, this episode is largely about an arguably unproblematic man. We've had a lot of conversations about really problematic men.
Yeah, we have.
There's going to be, again, some things on the surface. It might feel like a cue for an auga noise. But again,
I don't even have it queued up. So
context really
You don't even need it.
Context really does matter on this one. It's
okay.
So we're going to be unpacking the chaotic and violent marriage between Humphrey Bogart and Mayo Methot, who they became known as the Battling Bogarts due to their loud, violent, public, and frequent brawls, like verbal, physical, like you name it. across the board.
Okay.
These two made Johnny Depp and Amber Heard look like cherubs.
No.
Really?
Because that's quite a statement.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get into the particulars. So we're gonna kick off. I asked Olivia,
right.
do you know who Humphrey Bogart is? And she was offended. But for the listeners, again, we're gonna give context, because this is an episode where context is key. So who the hell was this Humphrey Bogart?
Who the hell was this guy?
Who was this guy? Humphrey DeForest Bogart. So Humphrey Bogart was his real name. Not a stage name.
I actually didn't know that. I assumed it wasn't. That's awesome.
He was born on Christmas Day in 1899 in New York City.
Wow.
Oh, the late 1800s. Unlike us, the late 1900s.
The late 1900s.
His father was a surgeon, and his mother was a commercial illustrator. Basically, she was like an early art director. I was like, me. Now. Overall, for the most part, both of his parents were working, especially his mom, which was kind of unusual for the time. But he grew up in what would be considered kind of a chilly turn of the century / Gilded Age family, where it was like, everyone is very stoic. It's like, feelings, we don't do those.
Right. Children should be seen and not heard.
Absolutely.
Which, after coming from a 7-year-old's birthday party today, I actually would like to
You agree with that? Yeah.
Children should be seen.
At least for certain hours of the day. So his frequently fought. So this did not seem like it was necessarily a happy marriage. Mm-hmm. They were extremely formal and showed little emotion towards their children. So it was Bogart, and then he had 2 younger sisters. His mother told the children to call her Maud, which was her first name, instead of Mother. And like, kids will do that, right? Like, they'll test it out, or they'll like, challenge like authority, or I'll see it, especially like teens will do that, and they'll be like, okay, no, I'm Dad. Like, but this was coming from the mother.
She chose it.
You will be addressing me as Maud. It's like, wow, weird choice lately. But again, she was not about the physical affection. And Bogart wrote, when she was pleased, she would like clap a hand on their shoulder, almost the way a man does. Like, good job, Bill. Like, very businesslike.
Well done.
They're there.
Yes. That was like as good as it got. And he said, I was brought up very unsentimentally and straightforwardly. A kiss in our family was an event. Our mother and father did not gush over my sisters and me. So like, no hugging, no kissing. If you've done something wonderful, like you got like literally like a pat on the shoulder. And that was like the max. Yeah.
Attaboy. That's all you get.
Wow. Attaboy, Humphrey.
So unfortunately, it sounds like he did not get a ton of pats either, as we'll get into here in just a second. But he was teased when he was little because I guess he had very curly hair. And his mother, she would dress him up in what they described as like little Lord Fauntleroy clothes. So very like fussy, like turn of the century outfits.
Little Humphrey.
Yeah.
Humphrey.
But he inherited from his father, he said, a tendency to tease. He had a fondness for fishing, and he loved boats, as did his father, and an attraction to strong-willed women.
I wonder where that came from.
Foreshadowing?
Foreshadowing. Important foreshadowing. He was an indifferent student. He had no interest in school or in any sort of like organized after-school activities. His family, again, like they had some money, they had family connections, so they got him into like good schools. Like he went to some private schools, he went to like boarding school at one point. He was a really bad student. He failed most of his classes and would get in trouble for then being like absent or skipping class or being disruptive and like smoking or sneaking off campus. Just no interest in school. So his parents were obviously super disappointed because he is just already a failure and is like failing at education. It's like, our only boy, the oldest son, is failing to live up to
our only hope.
Truly. Again, the 1900s of it all. So by the time he was, finished with school, meaning like, okay, we've we can't make you go anymore. He had like no other options for a career because he had done so badly in school. So he effectively had like no education. It wasn't like I don't even know. I didn't read that he actually like maybe graduated. It was more just like, you're done.
You're
like,
done. Get out of here.
They're like, just, you know what? We tried and
You're 18. Get out.
Yeah.
Go.
And like, and he could have like gone to college in theory. Like, I think I read somewhere his parents like really wanted him to go to Yale. And then by the time he was like getting older, it's like, oh yeah, this isn't happening at all. So he literally had no other career options. So surprise, it's 1918. There's a little thing called World War I is happening. Yeah. So he enlisted and he enlisted in the Navy in 1918 and actually seemed to do well with the Navy. It gave him some structure.
Interesting.
It made sense to him, I guess. And I think there was maybe like enough sort of going on like physically as well as mentally, but like,
and boats,
loved a boat.
He loves boats. He loves boats.
Loved a boat. So he was apparently a model sailor, and he only served for a year because the war ended, and they were like, "Hey, you're good. We don't need you. The war's over." There's various stories throughout this time that he may or may not have gotten his iconic lip scar during this time. There are a whole bunch of stories as to how he got his scar. Some say he got it in like combat and there was like a piece of something flew up and hit him. And other stories say like he got it in a bar fight or he got it in a training exercise. Like I think I read at least 5 different versions of how he got his lip scar. The short answer is we don't know, and it doesn't ultimately matter. But he also, if you watch his movies, he has, it's not like I don't know if you could like say it's like a lisp or a speech impediment, but he's got a unique way of speaking.
Yes,
yeah,
very unique. Yep.
But people have thought or speculated that it's because of the scar. It's not. So he had said, no, like, I think at some point someone interviewed him like, oh, well, this must have been this. And I think like Lauren Bacall spoke about it because they said, no, this predated the scar. And also later his son would have the same speech impediment or the same lisp, which sometimes lisps are learned. That was
it's interesting that he never addressed the scar publicly, though. It's like people have speculated he never talked about it.
Maybe he liked it.
I think maybe he liked the mystique of it. Yeah. Like he said
he probably just cut himself shaving, and he was like, "You guys' stories are way more exciting than what actually happened."
Yeah, it was absolutely a bar fight. It was not.
I think that's part of it, Olivia, because he definitely got it during this period, like somewhere in these early years, like before he ever was an actor or anything like that. So I think like the lore was maybe part of the boat,
fun. Like hit a wave and he cut his lip. Like, so bar fight sounded much better in combat, but no.
Yeah, exactly.
A wave.
Yeah, exactly. So after the war, so he comes back and then he's like, yeah, I've kind of grown apart from you, my family, my parents. He was, I will say, like, he was a nice guy. Like, he was a good person and that, like, he was very courteous. He was very polite.
That's nice.
He wrote that he really disliked their pretentiousness and their, like, kind of social climbing. Because, again, they wanted him to be somebody. Yeah. And he had not lived up to that. So he then chose to kind of distance himself from his family. He took a job as a salesman and was then in the Coast Guard Reserve. So he's like, hey, let me know if you need me. Again, boats.
Boats.
Yeah, he at this point, we're now entering like the 1920s. So he loved like the jazz age culture. He was also apparently an excellent amateur chess player and would like challenge people, be like, hey, I'll bet you $1 I can beat you at chess. And like, would set up shop at like local bars or whatever, just like had a table and had chess out and would beat even like professional like chess masters and made like quite a bit of money just betting on chess that he could.
That's interesting.
Beat people. Yeah. So it was just through a friend, like someone he knew, like in this early scene, he was offered a job in the office of the World Film Company. And he thought maybe he could be a screenwriter or a director, but apparently immediately failed at both of those things because Yep. So then he became a stage manager and he stage managed a play. And he's like, you know what? Maybe I'll try being an actor. And voila!
And Humphrey Bogart was born.
Finally, something he was good at. So here's a little cringe moment. I was like, no! He made his stage debut as a Japanese butler.
No!
Yeah. I mean...
In the 1921 play Drifting, in which he had one line.
Oh, no small parts, only small actors.
No
That's
small
like
parts.
Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Totally. Yes. I'm sure
Right.
something horrifically stereotypical, but it has to be said that that was how he started. Not great, but not unusual.
Yeah.
He had, you know, his family again certainly would not think acting was any sort of, you know, profession that would be worthy of, you know, their approval, but he didn't really care. He loved like the late hours actors kept, and also like the attention they received, and just like the vibe. And he already liked the sort of like nightlife speakeasy, like 1920s culture. So he was finding his people.
Yeah.
He never took
Bohemians.
acting. Yeah, Bohemians. Yeah. He never took acting lessons. He just, you know, was persistent and kind of like worked like slowly but surely. And they said he was in at least 18 Broadway productions between 1922 and 1935.
Wow.
So, yeah, he was working. He often, this was a funny thing, like considering how he really became famous later, but he played what they called like juveniles or like young man.
Really?
We just need someone to be like a Beaver Cleaver type and just like roll up and be like super like almost like nerdy. It sounded like very like goody two shoes. I found this weird anecdote. Apparently he was the first actor to ever say tennis anyone. It's like, what the hell? So
How funny.
yeah,
That's so interesting.
So again, this is how he made his start, but over time he grew to kind of dislike these trivial almost effeminate like parts sometimes, and he called them his white pants Willie roles.
You could walk in and be like, "Mother, where's my tennis racket?" Yeah.
Yes. So in the midst of all of this, while he was in that play Drifting, in which he's playing the Asian butler, we won't hold it against him, but he met actress Helen Menken, no relation to Alan.
Okay.
Okay.
No relation. I checked. They were married in 1926 in New York City, but they divorced in 1927. I was like, well, that was awful quick.
Wow.
Give it a go. They were married for about 18 months. They were made friends. And Menken had said that her divorce, apparently she filed, and she said that Bogart valued his career more than their marriage and just cited that he was neglectful and just not present. I think she also like cited abuse, but it was one of those like I have to kind of things because like there were only certain grounds for divorce.
Right. You have a reason.
Right. So it had to be something like I'll say he was abusive. There we go. Like that'll do it. So then Bogart married actress Mary Phillips on April 3rd in 1928. So a year after his divorce from Helen. He married her in Connecticut, and they had worked together on a play Nerves in 1924. So it was like also another actress who was kind of like running in the same circles as him, like in the 20s. So now he has been married twice to two different actresses. Cue the 1929 stock market crash. So
that thing.
That little thing. So theatrical production in New York, as we know, can be challenging because money, and putting up a show costs money. It was tough, tough to find work anywhere, but even as an actor on the Broadway. So more photogenic actors, I read, were like, you know what? I can maybe try this old Hollywood thing they're talking about. I'm not hideous. I have all my teeth. Like, let's go.
Hideous.
I'm gonna go be in a talkie.
That's what I said about doing movies. I was like, I'm not hideous. I have all my
nice teeth.
Let's go.
Jen lights up a room and is in terrible danger. So he made his debut on film with Helen Hayes, of all people, in a two-reeler called The Dancing Town, which apparently there's still an intact copy of this. This exists in the archives. We can see this today. He signed a contract with Fox, and there he met Spencer Tracy, who would become like one of his besties. They were starting out around the same time, and Spencer Tracy had also come from Broadway, so like they had a lot in common, but they became besties and also drinking companions.
I didn't realize they were friends.
Yeah,
it makes sense, but I didn't realize that.
Hey guys, by the way, I do know who Spencer Tracy is. I just wanted to point that out.
Do you know who he was with? His partner.
I didn't know who you were with. No, who he was with?
Guess who was coming to dinner? Katharine Hepburn.
The calla lilies are in bloom again.
Exactly, Olivia.
I did grow up watching Turner Classic Movies because of my dad, so I just didn't see the to have and to hold. That's all.
To have and have not.
To have and have not.
I have it. You can borrow it.
It's going very well. Spencer Tracy, interestingly, was the first person to call him Bogie. So we can thank Spencer Tracy for that one. So between like 1930 and 1935, he kind of bounced back and forth between Hollywood and New York. He probably had a little bit more prestige in New York, but he was also trying to figure out his Hollywood career. So he would like do a play, do a movie, and was kind of just like, trying to be bi-coastal, and it was pretty tough.
In the 30s, that blows my mind.
In the 30s, right? So it's like you're taking a train, probby.
Yeah, it wasn't like a 4-hour flight.
4 or 5 hour flight.
Yeah. As we talk about, like packing up and just the travel of it all was much more challenging. As a result, his second marriage was pretty rocky. He was dissatisfied with his career because he really wasn't kind of making it in either space. Just it wasn't quite hitting yet. So he did become depressed and irritable during this time and was drinking pretty heavily. In 1934, he starred in the Broadway play Invitation to a Murder at the Theater Mask, which has been renamed the John Golden Theater in 1937. So the producer, I guess, of the play, it said he heard the play from off stage. I'm like, he wasn't watching? Like, where was he? Like,
he was drinking in the corner.
Oh no, he was smoking out going well. It was, but like he heard Bogart's performance, meaning he just like heard the audio, and then he was like, that guy, I have to have him, and he wanted him for the role of the escaped murderer Duke Manty in the forthcoming play, The Petrified Forest. So this is his big break. This is like fucking finally.
Yeah.
So the play had 197 performances at the Broadhurst Theater in New York. It opened in 1935. Leslie Howard, Ashley Wilkes of Gone with the Wind. Ashley Wilkes was the star of this play.
What's Gone with the Wind?
Olivia,
we've already gone over this.
So
Olivia.
De Havilland.
Exactly.
So the play was a hit, and it was so popular, like, you know what, we're going to put it on film, and we're going to take these same people to be in the movie. So Humphrey Bogart is not a star, but Leslie Howard was like, no. I don't know if he was a producer, but somehow he had sway over the casting. They really wanted Ernest Borgnine because he was more known in Hollywood as a villain.
Yeah.
Like we just need someone known. And Leslie Howard really fought for him and was like, you have to have him. Like, this is really important to me. And I guess he had enough pull. So they made this happen. And this is what finally made Humphrey Bogart a Hollywood star. So he never forgot Leslie Howard's favor. And this is why he named his only daughter after Leslie Howard. So his daughter, Leslie Howard Bogart is his daughter's name. Yes. So this then kicked off.
She's on today. She's on.
It's the sugar.
The sugar high from the 7-year-old's birthday party.
Yes, I ate way too much cake.
So this thing kicked off Bogart's, I'll say like early, not early, but like the early part of the career we now know on screen. And throughout the rest of the 30s, he would play the series of villain and gangster roles and sort of like the tough guy or like the bad guy. This kicked off that era. So we had him first as like this little goody two-shoes
so
boy,
funny.
the white pants Willie, and now he is shifted like total opposite. And they're like, you're going to play the murderer.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
What range?
What range? So his wife, this is wife number 2, Mary, she also had a stage hit in this era called A Touch of Brimstone. And she refused to abandon her Broadway career. She was like, I don't want to come to California. She was not going back and forth to Hollywood with him. She's like, I'm in New York. She didn't want to go with him. So ultimately they divorced in 1937.
Okay.
So 2 marriages down in a handful of years. So now we're going to switch gears just a little bit because we're now at 1937 with Bogart. So we're going to pause on Bogart and we're going to swing over to Mayo.
He was 37 when he made that first movie. I just did some math. I was like, how old was he when he was in his first?
This man
you were
born
like,
in 1899.
And I was like, I bet he was older than whenever he made his debut. Yeah, he was 37.
37, yeah.
There's still time, everyone.
There is still time. Mayo, what a name. It doesn't seem to be short for anything. It's Mayo. As in mayonnaise. It's neither here nor
Mayonnaise
there.
Methot married Humphrey Bogart.
Mayo. I have questions, but never mind.
What is-
She is the only child of Beryl Evelyn and John Dylan Mack Methot. So they had normal names. We've got John and Beryl, and they're like, we're going to name her Mayo.
Beryl. But
We've got
Beryl.
Beryl. Beryl.
Yeah.
Mayo was their only child. They're like, we're only having the one and we're naming it Mayo. Her father was a ship captain and he reportedly had a temper. In a disturbing anecdote, he once violently rebuked a young boy who whistled at his daughter and broke his jaw.
Whoa.
Wow.
Just highlighting some of the, I'll say, early aggression she witnessed between her dad and the world. So growing up under a dominant, controlling parent like this, it probably normalized volatility, heightened emotional reactions, and also like a willingness to resort to aggression as a form of like protection or love. Like, oh, I love you. I'm protecting you. Therefore, I broke Timmy's jaw. Like, what the hell?
He'll never whistle again in this town.
You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? How appropriate. How appropriate.
Also, I just looked up and Beryl's maiden name was Wood.
Beryl Wood. Oh, man. These poor people.
It's rough.
No Maleficent Trent, but whatever.
No, she's no Maleficent
No
Trent.
Eleanor Needles.
Eleanor and Needles, Maleficent Trent.
Mayo, interestingly, is a direct descendant of Zachary Taylor, the 12th president of the United States.
What?
Really?
Yes. If you go back on the old family tree. Yeah. So shortly after she was born, Chicago, Illinois, the family relocated to Portland, Oregon. I was like, serial killers, the Pacific Northwest.
I was like, oh no. Like, what? Run, Humphrey, you're in danger.
I did the same thing, Jen. I'm like, oh no. So she basically grew up in the Pacific Northwest. She had a proclivity for literature and acting as a young child. She was a child actor. She memorized and started performing passages from Romeo and Juliet at a young age, just like reciting them.
How obnoxious.
I think she was something of a child star, Olivia, because she was on stage professionally at the age of 5.
Wow.
So young. At age 8.
June.
Yes.
I was just going to say, was she?
She was part of this, it was a Portland-based company called the Baker Stock Company. By the age of 9, she was performing with this like stock theater troupe. And her frequent performances earned her the nickname, the Portland Rosebud. I mean, I
guess it's better than Beryl Wood.
Rosebud.
Rosebud. Yes. It's definitely giving Baby June. She went to what I'm assuming is a boarding school called Miss Caitlin's School. She graduated in 1919. And then again, as an adult, had like a full-time career as an actress with this Baker Stock Company. So she had many lead roles in many plays and was a very big deal there. So she, I guess then was also maybe dabbling in like some serial, like some like short films or
Killing.
something like that.
That's where that was going.
Serial short
She
films.
dabbled in some serial murders, but
Pacific Northwest.
decided, you know what? It's
Not
really
yet.
for me.
Do you know what
Not
she was
yet.
doing?
So we talked about serial films, I think with Olive Thomas, but it was like,
Yeah.
you know, when you're in like the White Lotus, but they showed it in theaters and it was
In
a thing.
theaters,
So
right.
yeah, so she met cameraman Jack Lemmon, who was a war veteran, and they had a whirlwind romance. Whirlwind. So they met in the summer of 1921 and they married in September. So real quick.
Wow.
Yep. Then they relocated to New York City. So she lands in New York City and without missing a beat, she appears on Broadway. So
Good for her.
pretty quick.
Man.
Yeah. 1923. She's on Broadway. She was in a whole bunch of shows, including she got cast as the female lead in a George M. Cohan production.
Oh, wow.
Song and Dance Man. It opened on New Year's Eve, 1923.
Wow.
Yeah, and so this kicked off a streak. In 1927, Methot and Lemmon divorced, and she asserted that he had deserted her in 1925. Didn't really give a lot of other information about that. She's like, he's deserted me. I'm
Well,
like,
she
all
had to
right.
have a reason.
Yeah, you got to say something. And it sounds like maybe they were just kind of like,
They split up.
yeah, they
probably.
split up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Doing their own thing. She's
She
busy.
was like,
he's busy.
I won't tell them that you beat me. I'll just say you deserted me.
Yeah,
Right.
desertion. That'll do.
Yeah.
So she moved to Hollywood in 1930, wanting to transition from stage to film again, 29, 30. We're still in that sort of early Depression era volatility. So she's like, I have all my teeth. I'm relatively attractive. Let's go to Hollywood.
Let's go to Hollywood.
So she
You
had
need a shirt that says that.
I have all my teeth. Let's go to
Go
Hollywood.
to Hollywood.
She had her first major speaking role in the gangster film called Corsair in 1931. Also in 1931, she met and married Percy T. Morgan. Percy. He was an oil tycoon.
Oh.
I was like, okay.
Get it, girl.
So-
I'm sure she loved him for who he was.
I had to wait until Jen finished drinking because
Thank you.
this is important. He was also the co-owner of the Cock and Bull restaurant.
Wait, cock and bowl?
Cock
and Bull.
and Bull. Cock
Bull.
In.
in apostrophe B-U-L-L.
Bull.
Bull.
Cock and bull.
Cock and
Cock and
Bull.
Bull.
Got it.
How many times can we say cock? The Cock
Let's
and Bull
try it again.
restaurant,
Cock and Bull.
which was on Sunset Boulevard. And this restaurant was the birthplace of the Moscow Mule.
Ah.
A
There we go.
delicious
Go.
drink. Very refreshing. I make a good one.
Very refreshing.
Do
so
you? I
do.
did try it. I've never had a Moscow Mule.
well, you can thank Percy and his
Percy
business
and
partner.
Cock and Bull.
The Cock and Bull. So in 1932, she signed a contract with Warner Brothers. So now we're getting into early studio system stuff. She started as the female lead in a film called The Nightclub Lady, which was like a murder mystery co-starring Adolphe Menjou. And this, for her, has now found her footing as what they called a tough talking dame. And
That would be me in
Yeah,
like
you're a
1930s.
tough talking dame.
totally
100%.
Olivia.
Yep.
This would have been,
Yep.
you would have been up for the same
Got
kind
your
of
type.
parts.
Yep.
That's right.
Yes. Like she
Get
was
out
like,
of here, Mayo. It's mine.
And so like she wouldn't be the lead, but she would be like the second female,
Yeah.
like the supporting female role,
Right.
who'd be
Yeah.
like, I am the tough talking broad, and
She's the best friend. She's the one that
Yes.
takes care of the ingenue who can't take care of herself, right?
Stupid ingenues.
yes,
Ugh.
1,000%. So a lot of crime
The
dramas,
worst.
a lot of like film noir, that
Very
kind of
cool.
thing. So 1937, she is cast in the crime drama Marked Woman, which
Ooh.
so she is again, she's second banana lady. Betty Davis is the lead, and
Banana to Betty
Humphrey
Davis.
Bogart is
Oh.
the leading man.
Oh, opposite Miss
Oh.
Betty. Interesting, because I would think Betty would also be typed as a. I mean, she was a leading lady for sure, but like she's also kind of
a tough talking.
a tough talking broad.
Not that. I think I've not seen this movie, so
Yeah, I mean,
I'll have to
now I'm gonna have to put it on. The list.
What?
have to find it and circle back. Let you know how Betty was.
I've seen it on repeat.
Have you,
Yes.
Olivia?
All the women end up marked in the movie. It's crazy.
So in 1937, same year, she divorces Percy, the oil tycoon. I was like,
Get outta
wow.
here.
And the reason she gave, I was like, question mark, she claimed he would, quote, not allow her to accept an acting role in New York. Which point,
She didn't like the Moscow Mule. That's the truth. She was like, I'm out of here.
well, I
That's
feel like
bullshit.
there's something else going on
Interesting.
here. And again,
Yeah.
she's met Bogart, who, spoiler alert, she's going to be married to Bogart a year later. So we are now at 1937 with both of our primary characters.
Here they are.
We're gonna put a pin in this for just a minute. We're gonna talk about attachment styles.
Okay. Oh, this stuff is fascinating.
We're gonna talk about attachment styles. We've laid some of the track for this already, but the attraction to fighting and volatility in relationships often has roots in deep psychological wounds, many of which can trace back to early life experiences.
Sure.
So attachment styles, it's not just a like, why do I do this pattern of thing? It actually has to do with like the way like your nervous system is conditioned to respond to different situations. Like it's like in your body. So there's different attachment styles. We're going to talk about some of the more dysfunctional ones because there are attachment styles that are healthy and they have no business in this week's episode.
How boring. Well, healthy attachment.
So people with insecure attachment styles, specifically like those that are anxious or disorganized, they love high emotional highs, but on the flip side of that is low emotional lows. So anxious attachment style, individuals might feel most alive when they feel like they have to work super hard to earn the love of someone or are soothing conflict. So this cycle of like rupture and repair, that feels like good and productive to them.
Right.
And that feels like love because they feel like I'm doing things. And like when people are like, I'm fighting for my relationship, it's like, no, you shouldn't have to be like, always having like on the verge of a breakup, like to feel good. But they conflate that with, oh, if I'm always having to sort of like have this like rift and reconcile, this like ebb and flow, that feels like love to them and that feels good.
Yeah.
Disorganized attachment often comes from abusive or unpredictable childhoods, and these individuals may crave and fear closeness at the same time. So the volatility, again, maybe more with respect to like violence or emotional, like screaming or throwing things, that feels familiar and sometimes even safe. Because with their nervous system, it's like, well, you're going to scream and you're going to throw something and then you're going to say you're sorry and then you're going to hold me and then that feels good, but you won't hold me and comfort me unless you've had an explosion first. Yeah. So it's like this very cyclical like rage and repair. But again, to their nervous system, it's like, that feels normal. That feels good because daddy would like rage and punch Timmy in the jaw. And then like that meant that he loved me. And it's that kind of thing. So you can actually get a neurotypical addiction to this type of drama that spikes your adrenaline and your cortisol and then your dopamine into this cycle that really kind of like can mimic substance abuse. So the body will get wired to associate the stress and conflict and then the relief and intimacy that follows as like, this is how my body and my brain are doing like love and attachment. So it can create a form of like trauma bonding where the instability is actually the thing that holds it together. This can stem from like modeling in childhood, meaning that like intensity equals love, or like without this sort of emotional volatility, you're like, love isn't really real because it's too calm.
Too calm.
It's like, oh no. Yeah. And they also feel that like given these moments of drama, like they're feeling important or noticed because it's like, well, you're screaming at me, but at least you see me. Like it's that kind of thing. They also misinterpret this as passion. So again, like, it can feel like calm equals boredom, but their nervous system is craving like the stimulation. So fighting is this stand-in for like love or passion. Like, oh, you fight with me because you care, or like,
you love me.
Yes, because love me. This can also then lead to control and testing, where you're going to like test loyalty. Like, okay, well, are you still going to love me if I like push you or are you going to leave me?
That sounds dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Yikes. Yeah.
Also, like they'll try to like assert control. Like, I feel out of control, so I'm going to provoke a reaction from you so I can feel that I am in control because I was able to get a rise out of you.
Right.
And then they also do it as a way to avoid vulnerability. So the conflict can keep people at a degree of distance, even though you want the intimacy on the flip side, but then you keep the distance by causing some sort of like rift, but then you want the repair piece after that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it can also then like be like self-reinforcing. So you end up in this loop of one partner will then be the one who gives in, or the one partner will be the one who does the soothing after the fight, creating a win for the one who's like more emotionally volatile. It can mimic some of these early attachment patterns and the familiarity that maybe like, they saw their parents doing some version of this, but it does become deeply entrenched in the body.
Yep.
So in order to heal from this, the only way to do it is to recognize and then break the pattern, which is easier said than done.
Right.
But it can happen, but often the only sort of like repair or healing comes from separating that relationship. It's hard to
say, like, it's almost like once that has been hatched in that relationship, that's really hard to weed that out.
Yeah, like you, the individual, can break it for another relationship and be like, okay, I broke up with so-and-so and now I'm going to do it differently with this other person because the dynamic is different, but it's very hard to this other person because the dynamic is
within
different
relationship.
relationship. Yeah. If this is resonating with you, just know that this is not a character flaw. Like we said, this is a nervous system response that learned early to equate survival with emotional chaos. And really only therapy can help you untangle that wiring. So if you keep finding yourself in different relationships where you're like, why am I always attracting this type of person? Or why do my relationships always like end in some sort of like fiery explosion? Or like, why do I keep breaking up and then going back to Chad? Like, why does this keep happening?
Fucking Chad.
It's not something you've necessarily done wrong, or it doesn't mean like you're a shitty person. It just means that like you probably have some of these baked in patterns that you need professional help to untangle. So,
and that's okay. Hey friends, Jen here, and we hope you're enjoying this episode of Life Upon the Wicked Stage. Just a few quick reminders. If you're looking for any of the visuals that we've mentioned in this or any episode of the podcast, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Wicked Stage Pod or Facebook at Life Upon the Wicked Stage. If you want more, please join our Patreon by searching the Wicked Stage Podcast. There you'll find ad-free episodes, videos of our recordings, mini-sodes, behind-the-scenes content, giveaways, and so much more. And the most important side note, if you like the show, please give us a nice rating wherever you listen. It sounds silly, but it's still the best way to get the word out and support us in this crazy podcast world. Well, lights are blinking, intermission's over, so grab those snacks and another drink and enjoy the rest of the show.
So we're gonna go from there, and we're gonna jump to, now that we've talked about attachment styles.
So interesting.
We're gonna talk about spousal abuse versus battered husband syndrome. Okay. We're gonna get into this. This is probably gonna be a little bit controversial, and this is in the category of, I think it's sort of on the flip side of like not all men. And I will say that in terms of like spousal abuse or abuse dynamics within relationships, this seems to be, for whatever reason, it is more likely that women are going to be the abused partner than a man, just statistically speaking.
Right.
As much as we talk about on this podcast, it's like, you're more likely to be killed by like the man in your house than a serial killer. Like your husband, your partner.
Unless the man in your house happens to be a serial killer.
And or if you're in the Pacific Northwest.
Or the Pacific Northwest. Strangely, the serial killers, I feel like, who are like the ones who are like married somehow, like Dennis Rader, like they don't kill their spouses.
They don't kill their spouses.
These women are left alive. So I say this with the full understanding and the full context of this does not happen as often, but this also still happens, and this is also super underreported. So it's like, you know, we've seen on like Law and Order SVU and our
Right.
Queen Olivia Benson, when it's like they'll have like an episode where it's like a man has been raped
Right.
or by a woman.
or even by another man, but just like
Right.
especially when it's like by a woman, and when the woman is the aggressor, and it's like, we as a society do not want to believe that a man can be a victim of abuse by a woman. And it is super rare, but it is mostly underreported, because I've got some statistics that I was like, what?
Pride. And I think
Yeah.
because you're going to, on top of it's humiliating, unfortunately, the way society reacts. Yeah.
Yes. And so it's not even that it doesn't happen as often as we think. It is that it is vastly underreported because of everything you just said, Olivia. Because I found from the CDC's National Intimate Partner and Sexual Violence Survey, are you ready for this? 1 in 7 men in the U.S. have experienced severe physical violence by an intimate partner.
Wow.
1 in 7. I was like,
but it's by an intimate partner, so not necessarily a woman.
Not necessarily a woman, but still, I was like, the fact that even let's assume it's between 2 men, it's still like, well, you're evenly matched. Like, what do you mean you let him hit you? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I think we're more inclined to like punch him back, or just like leave. Like, if you're, you know, in a same-sex relationship, it's I think we still don't ascribe the same level of protectiveness we do to a woman who's being physically abused by a man. So I found that extremely interesting. I was like, holy shit. So what battered husband syndrome is, this is not a DSM diagnosis, but it refers to a pattern of sustained abuse. So not a one-time thing, sustained abuse, including physical violence. So like hitting, throwing things, slapping, choking, emotional and psychological abuse, gaslighting, threats, degradation, control. Emotional or financial abuse, so like withholding money, controlling earnings, sexual coercion, legal and reputational threats, like I'll ruin you, I'll tell everyone you hit me, like so over time the buildup of any of these, or a combination of them, can lead to chronic trauma, helplessness, and even fear on the part of the victim, especially because society expects you to be the stronger one because you are the man, and you're strong and you're privileged and you're physically bigger. What are you talking about? Like, so what it's not is just a bad relationship or sort of mutual relationship like conflict. It's not situational fighting where it's like, oh, you had a whatever, like a one time, like a very specific, like, that was like weird and bad, but it was just,
it's chronic. It needs to be chronic.
It needs to be chronic.
Okay.
It's not weakness or sort of like a failure of masculinity. And like we said, it's not as rare as people think. It's just super duper underreported. So
I mean, whoever is doing those brain games, they can get in there, you know?
Yeah. So I interestingly know someone this happened to.
Really?
Yes. And it was when they were younger. And this is someone who, I will say, you know, you talk about the dynamic. This is someone who did not have any sort of, I would say the issue with the attachment style was not on their end. It was on the partner's end. So, cause like they had never had anything like this before, and they never had anything like this again. It was like, it's just, I'm going to make up a name. Like it was just Debbie. And it was just like, Debbie had this problem. And so she was extremely just insecure. Like we're going to talk about with Mayo here, but this person was really insecure. There was an element of like, sort of that I'm going to like have a big fight and have a big blow up. So then like we can make up and have this sort of cycle of like rinse and repeat of like have all this conflict. So then we can feel closer. And he was really not interested in participating in it. So as he was trying to pull away from the relationship, she decided to use the emotional like coercion aspect of it, of like, well, and for her, it was threats of suicide, of like, if you leave, I'll kill myself.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, she's like, I need you. Like, you know, if you leave, I'll kill myself. And she would threaten this. Yeah. And I'm not sure if she actually like attempted it at any point, but he was like, I don't want to break up with her because I'm scared she's going to like harm herself. And like, I feel guilty. And so like, I will endure this like abuse because I don't want her to hurt herself.
Right.
And so it came to a head at one point because there was a distance element, and he was away, and so they were kind of doing a sort of long distance thing for a bit, and she got insanely jealous and was like, you must be cheating on me. And he's like, no, I'm not cheating on you, I'm just not physically there with you all the time. And so she came to visit him, and she like flew into a rage, and she stabbed him tried to stab him with like a kitchen knife.
Oh my
What?
God.
I think she tried to. I don't think or like she like scratched him, but she didn't like stab him.
Still. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
And so I was like, did you break up after that? And they were like, no, because she kept saying that like she was going to kill herself. And so I asked us like, what finally made you be like, enough is enough?
What was the moment? Yeah.
Yeah. Like what was it? Were you finally like, screw it? I don't care. Like what do you do? And he said,
yeah.
You get to the point where it's too much. Like there has to be something like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
And it's not saying like, I don't care if you kill yourself or not. It's just saying like, I can't do this anymore. Like my own safety, health, happiness is more important than like being embarrassed or having you tell all your friends or having you commit suicide and say it was my fault. Like I can't do it. Like I have to save myself essentially. And I'm going to break up with you. I'm going to pull back. Like I can't, like, I'm sorry. And this person I asked, you know, cause this is a man. And I said, like, do you know other men, like other people that this has happened to? And he's like, oh yeah. And I said, why don't they say? And he said, well, if there are kids, sometimes it's like, well, I'll stay for the kids. You know, I don't want to break up the family. Or I said, okay, what if there's no kids? Cause in this situation with Bogart and Mayo Methot, they didn't have any children. Right. And he said it is very much like that shame of like, you should be the man, you should be in control. Like, what do you mean she's like, you know, screaming threats at you, or she hit you or whatever? Like, what do you mean she hit you? Like, that's crazy.
And I the shame that I felt in the emotional abuse that I was in, I can't imagine what a man would feel. Truly. Sure.
Yeah.
Because it's just so different. I bet that suicide thing is used a lot.
I bet it is too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you leave me, you'll be sorry.
I'll kill myself.
It is.
That feels very manipulative.
Worst kind of emotional
and
blackmail. Yeah.
Yes, and I feel like a lot of, you know, again, not all women, obviously, but I feel like a lot of women that do this, I think that's probably their go-to.
I think so, because then it is the ultimate, like, it's the ultimate threat, because it's like, I am putting my life in your hands, and if you do this, then you forced me. Like, it's almost like you killed me.
Exactly.
You know, it's so insidious.
Yeah.
So this type of behavior can obviously escalate over time, but it can, you know, have psychological impacts where you can have like literally like PTSD or hypervigilance. It can lead to depression, anxiety, panic attacks, obviously the cycle of shame and self-blame, like you're saying, Jen, like you think you somehow did something to cause it, or like you deserve to be treated this way. And then just even like emotional numbness and like dissociation, like you're just kind of shut down. And, you know, suicidal ideation on the part of the person who's being abused. But again, like we talked about, men in particular have, you know, women have this too, not to say they don't, but men seem to have a even heightened fear of not being believed. Embarrassment. There's a lack of male specific resources in this area. Like there are shelters for battered women. Like there's just a lack of resources for men.
Well, and mental health in general for men is in general is very lacking.
How dare you cry and have emotions, man?
Right.
You know?
What are you, a girl?
The cultural stigma of like real men don't get abused, or the toxic masculinity of like, oh well, you're just, you must be, you know, stronger, you're tougher, you're bigger, like how did this happen to you? And again, the risk of actual retaliation or even like false counter allegations, like I'm going to tell them you abused me.
Exactly.
You know,
and they're like, well, they believe that. I'm telling you. I mean,
absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah. So some red flags to look out for would be obviously extreme jealousy or possessiveness, explosive rage and erratic mood swings, public shaming or belittling, a history of manipulation or lying, threats of violence, suicide, or harm to others, and substance abuse, which is often a trigger, but not necessarily a cause, which I
Right.
think is going to play a big role in this case.
Mm.
So, battered husband syndrome, it reflects the reality that abuse is not gendered, but social silence around male victims helps this to go on. It's usually slow, it's subtle, and it's wrapped up in a lot of shame, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is absolutely real. So reactionary abuse, which I wanted to touch on just super briefly, because I think this is important to note for this. Reactionary abuse or reactive abuse occurs when a victim of long-term psychological, emotional, or physical abuse lashes out in response, often emotionally, sometimes physically, and that reaction is then used against them by the original abuser to shift or justify the blame and paint the
Horrible.
victim as the aggressor. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of details about this, but abusers tend to like this because then it creates this false equivalency of like, well, see, we both abuse each other. And going back to that, that chaotic attachment style, it keeps the cycle going of like, well, see, like you're just as bad as me and we both exploded and
Yeah.
I hit you and then you slapped me back, but then we kissed and made up, like literally. So it keeps the dynamic going and
Yeah.
it keeps you, the victim, sucked in as like, well, you're just as guilty as me and like you're
Right.
choosing to participate in this, and if you tell anyone, I'm gonna tell them that you hit me, like you're just as bad as I am, like
Yep.
you did this too. So we're going to get into the specifics of Bogart and Methot's relationship. So we're at 1937. They've been in this movie together. He's divorced. She's divorced.
Okay.
In 1938, they got married. So it was both of their third marriages, if you're
Okay.
keeping count.
Keep it count. Tallies.
So people describe her before all of this as overall, this is how she was known. She was known to be lively and friendly when she was sober and
Uh-huh.
paranoid and aggressive when drunk.
Ooh.
Interesting.
This was known of her
Okay.
having nothing to do with him.
Okay.
So she eventually became convinced that she was cheating on him with any and everybody. This was sort of like her core obsession, I'll say, where
that
she
he
was just like,
cheating on her.
He was cheating on her.
This was
Okay.
like the root of her aggression. This was her like excuse for like
Well,
exploding.
yeah. I mean, I will say, I'm looking at pictures of her, much like Leonora Lemon.
Crazy eyes.
Crazy eyes.
She
He's
does
just
have
like-
a bit of.
Smiling, having a good time, and she is intense.
She is intense.
And also, Humphrey Bogart was a very good-looking man,
he was a very handsome man.
and
yes.
she is interesting. She's not unattractive.
She has a
She's
face.
no Lauren Bacall.
No.
Yeah,
but
there's
she's
something-
interesting looking.
She's
yeah.
interesting
Yeah, very.
looking,
I think it's very
and I'm sure very
owl-like.
talented. Yeah.
Yes, Olivia.
Right? There's like an owl likeness.
But
like
there's
the,
like
wa-
some piercing, but also like
the eyes are a little too far apart. The nose is kind of pierced. It's just interesting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining that yelling and screaming at you.
Yes.
And it would be a little
Yes.
bit.
And I can
Yeah.
imagine her being very jealous of all the beautiful women that Humphrey Bogart is opposite in these movies, right?
Well, strap in because
Okay.
this is where we're going to unpack some of the specifics.
We both just did seatbelt pantomime.
Strap in.
We are
please.
ready.
We
Pull the car over. Let's go.
Let's do it.
According to their friend Julius Epstein, no relation to Jeffrey, we hope,
Thank God.
the Bogart Methot marriage was the sequel to the Civil War.
That's a, oh my God.
Bogart bought a boat, which he nicknamed Sluggy, which was his nickname for Methot, as in slug, like punch.
Oh,
he named the
shit.
boat Sluggy.
Oh my God. Because she
she
punched
slugged
him,
him.
Yes.
often.
But then he said, and this is the part where I'm like, Bogie, no, your attachment style. He said at
Yeah.
one point, I like a jealous wife. We get on so well together because we don't have any illusions about each other. I wouldn't give you 2 cents for a dame without a temper.
Wow.
So this is where I'm like,
wow. Yeah.
well, like,
yeah.
you're used to this very like aggressive, dominant woman, but also his first 2 wives, if you think about it, kind of tapped out because they're just like, I'm doing my own thing, you're doing your own thing, and seemed maybe ambivalent about the marriage.
Maybe they weren't plugged into the relationship.
Passion,
yeah, so he's like
you said.
Yeah, intense. Yeah, this feels exciting. Like, oh,
and he's an actor, so like emotion. That's what this is what I should feel, right?
You think I don't have an emotion?
I should
have all of them.
As an actress, I have all of them. I love
Olivia. I bet myself, I was driving in the car yesterday. I was like, I bet myself $1 million Olivia is going to quote that first Wives Club line at some point tomorrow.
Well, I hope you collect.
That's right. You owe yourself $1 million.
I'll pay myself right after this.
Okay, great.
So Louise Brooks said that except for Leslie Howard, remember, who helped him get his big break from Gone with the Wind, Ashley Wilkes, no one contributed as much to Humphrey's...
of his daughter Howard. Sorry.
Namesake. No one contributed as much to Humphrey's success as his third wife, Mayo Methot, because her influence, remember, she had a little bit more momentum than he did in Hollywood.
In Hollywood, she was that fast-talking broad.
Yes, her influence, while increasingly destructive, she did help sort of like, pull him up along with her. But she was, at the same time, she was equally helpful and destructive. Can't talk.
Destructive.
Okay.
And she was a drinker, and I think it sounds like he had a tendency to drink, maybe not so much from a... I don't want to say destructive place, because he definitely drank when he was depressed, but he also drank to celebrate. So I think he maybe had a tendency towards drinking, and she exacerbated that. Yeah, like she brought out the worst as far as that went, and I think bare minimum really enabled his drinking a lot, because she drank a lot herself. So it's like, I'll pour you one more. Right. This is interesting. 2 years after they were married, Methot gave up acting. I don't know specifically why. It doesn't say like, oh, her career stalled, but that was sort of the vibe I got. I also, this is an insane thing to say, she's like a hag of like
she
38.
Aged out.
Yeah.
Like, you're old. What could we possibly do with you?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's actually part of it, but yeah. So they just sort of became known as this like high profile Hollywood couple, because even though she wasn't working anymore, like she was still known as a celebrity. Right. They both drank heavily, and she really, this was when it really took off, her public violence. So when she would
violence.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
So she gained a reputation for being violent in public when she was drinking.
This is after her career stalled or before?
Yes. This is all happening at the same time. This is all.
Okay.
They got married in 38, and between like 38 and like 40 is when it's like, holy shit, hang on to your butts.
Wow.
So it went downhill real quick. They almost immediately became known by the press as the Battling Bogarts.
Wow.
And Mayo specifically. So remember, this is already his pet name for her, but I guess it leaked out because due to her combativeness, like physical combativeness, they called her Sluggy in the press.
In the press?
Yes, like she's going to slug you. So his yacht was already named Sluggy. They also called their house Sluggy Hollow, like Sleepy Hollow, but Sluggy Hollow.
This is horrible, but what a sense of humor.
So in 1943, apparently she attempted suicide, and Bogart urged her to visit a psychiatrist.
Sure.
And upon doing so, she was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia.
Oh.
Wow.
So this is also where I'm like, hold the phone. Put a pin in this.
Wow.
So I was like, say more about this, because schizophrenia is very specific. So I looked into schizophrenia.
Also, the mental health diagnostic knowledge of the 40s may not be.
Yes. So this is where we need to touch a little bit on like 1940s psychology, because yes, we know a lot more about schizophrenia now than then. Surprise, surprise. Yeah. So it was in the 40s. Schizophrenia was actually a catch-all term for psychotic symptoms, including suspiciousness, agitation, aggression, and irrational fears.
What?
Now they might be diagnosed with like bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, alcohol-induced psychosis. They were just like, I don't know, she seems off. It must be schizophrenia.
Yeah, they were just calling them hysterical, like 20 years earlier. So.
Yes, but just again, not a lot of good information at that time. So they're just like, yeah, sounds good. Because I was like, well, if she's a paranoid schizophrenic, like, shouldn't she be institutionalized? And the answer was no.
No, she's fine.
Just leave her out on the streets. She'll be okay.
Yeah. So she attempts to unalive herself, as the kids say, in 43. She gets this diagnosis. Nothing really happens, but there then becomes this period, I would say from 43 to 45, where he is trying to leave the relationship, and we'll get into why.
Okay.
He is trying to leave the relationship, and then she is either like, increasing physical violence against him, or she is saying she's going to kill herself, or she is saying, I'm going to give up drinking. I'm so sorry. I'm going to be better. And then, of course, will relapse because at this point she has severe alcoholism, and it'll just repeat over and over again. So numerous battles took place at their residence, which, as we mentioned, was named Sluggy Hollow. It was that bad. There was one incident in which she stabbed him in the shoulder.
Oh my God.
With a knife, like actually stabbed him to the point where, this was in 1942. So the incident reportedly occurred when he was working on this movie Across the Pacific. Oh, I'm sorry. She didn't stab him in the shoulder. She stabbed him in the back. So like the back shoulder.
Ooh,
that's worse.
God.
I know, right? Not better. Like,
that's worse.
The back, but also the shoulder with a kitchen knife during a fight. And the episode was so serious that a doctor was summoned to treat him. So people put this account around 1942. Bogart took out a $100,000 life insurance policy on himself with a clause that excluded her as the beneficiary because of how
she might be the one that killed him.
Yes, because he was so worried about this. He was just like, fuck. So like, from the time they got together, there was not a film he worked on that she was not convinced he was having an affair with some adjacent woman.
Okay.
And different people have said different things about this, but I'm going to go based on my primary sources. This was never true until Lauren Bacall.
Okay.
So all of her rage and whatever, like, you're fucking Ingrid Bergman. That was a big one. She was like on the Casablanca set like daily, because Bergman was actually known for having an affair with her leading man. Like, this was the thing Bergman did, where she's like, Bergman was like,
showmance.
She was a floozy in the best possible sense. Woo! Yeah, Ingrid Bergman loved a showmance. So Mayo Methot knew this about Bergman and was like, oh no, like, she's gonna get my man. And so poor Humphrey Bogart, like, he was so like hyper vigilant about this. And mind you, like, he's in the midst of all this chaos. So he actually was really chilly with Ingrid Bergman. Bergman said, like, he was super professional and, he was very courteous and he was great to work with. But like, literally, like, as soon as they left the set, he wouldn't speak to her. He ignored her. He was
protecting.
She famously said, he kissed me, but I never knew him. Was like her line, because like, they had this like amazing chemistry on screen, but she's like, I didn't know anything about him because he would just like retreat. And I guess then later she found out, or like maybe they reconnected at a later time, and he was like, I'm sorry, like, my wife was crazy, I didn't want to get like myself like
stabbed. I didn't want to get stabbed.
Like, who knows what she would have done to Ingrid Bergman.
Right, exactly. He's like, I didn't want to like make a bad situation worse. So they would have like these literal like barroom brawls. At one point, they both hit each other over the head with whiskey bottles, and he was known to sometimes hit her back. So this is where, like, she was definitely the aggressor. Like, she would be drunk, she'd be like hitting him, slapping him, and then sometimes, like we said with the reactionary abuse, it sounded like he would just like, or would like push her, as in like, I'm trying to get you away. Like, I'm not hitting you because I'm enraged. I'm hitting you back to protect myself.
Basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
She would also just like, verbally just like, assault him all the time and would like, scream at him and say horrible things. In one frightening incident, she shot at him in their home. I guess he was outside the house and she shot at him from a window.
Oh my God.
Multiple times. She missed him. And I guess at this point it was so bad, he just calmly quipped back, "You missed." Another time at a dinner party.
Okay, that's when you know it's too much.
I know.
Yeah, right.
Another time at a dinner party. So like in front of friends, like multiple guests, she pulled a gun on him at the dinner party and was threatening him with the gun in front of...
At a
Yeah.
dinner party?
There was another incident at the house in which Gloria Stewart...
There she is.
Gloria Stewart, who was their friend,
my
was a later
God.
eyewitness of Mayo threatening to shoot him in front of everyone.
She was deep throat of the Battling Bogarts.
She threw the heart of the ocean.
Heart of the
into
ocean.
Atlantic.
We got it. Yeah.
She was like, "I was at a party and you will not believe what the hell
You
happened."
will not believe what
It's
happened.
been 34 years.
Well,
And this
the
is what
funny-
happened.
The funny thing is, like, between now and probably like when this happened, because like 44, she's like, "It's been 84 years."
Exactly. That's where that came from. It wasn't a line in the script. She was
wasn't
just
about-
telling. No, she was telling them the story.
It wasn't about Jack at all. It was about this freaking shooting. Like,
That's right.
And James Cameron's like, put it in.
so it got really, really bad. And towards the end of it, it seemed like he was trying to pull away, but then they would have this, like, he would pull away and then they would reconcile and then it would start all over again. And like the time between like the incidents, it got like smaller and smaller because it was just, it was devolving pretty quickly because she was a nasty, angry drunk. And
She and Leonora Lemon were probably hanging out together.
possibly, I wonder if they met.
I don't know.
So we're going to get to the catalyst of maybe how and why all of this kind of came to a head or stopped.
Okay.
So in 1943, when filming To Have and Have Not to be confused with To Have and To Hold, Humphrey Bogart, who was 44 years old, met and fell in love with his 19-year-old co-star Lauren Bacall.
She was only 19.
I just saw Olivia's face. Yeah, you didn't know that.
So this is where I'm like, context
She looks
matters.
like she's 40.
This is where I'm like, context matters.
Yeah.
So this is, I think, on any other episode, and we have talked about age gap relationships before, where we could bring out an awooga noise for this.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, based on Lauren Bacall's own biography, in her own words, if there was anything that was like awooga noises, like if it was going to come out, it would be there.
Yeah.
So in some ways, she was more mature than he was emotionally.
Yeah.
And just, but by the time they got married, she was 20, but it was still, she was, I think, emotionally was evenly matched to him, if not more mature than him. She also had an excellent support system. Like she had her mom, she had her two uncles, like she had a lot of, I'll say adults, like weighing in.
A lot of adults in the room.
A lot of other adults in the room. She had a lot of good support. Like it wasn't like Evelyn Nesbit where her mom was like, go. Like, yeah, like this is my whatever. Her family was extremely like, hey, you better watch out. And we don't like that this married man is interested in you. Like we're very protective of you. For better or worse, Howard Hawks, who was the director of To Have and Have Not, and then also The Big Sleep, which was their second follow-up movie together. Howard Hawks felt like he discovered Lauren Bacall. Like she was his like pet project. And he was also like old enough to be her father, but was extremely like weirdly protective of her. And also like whether it was like for selfish reasons or paternal reasons, like also did not want her involved with Bogart. So like everyone in her life was just like, hey, we're going to be like watching you super closely. But Lauren Bacall, it was one of those, and for both of them, but it was very much kind of like a love/chemistry at first sight. And it was evident on screen. It was evident off screen. And I'm summarizing here, but he had almost kind of like emotionally tapped out and just didn't think like, a happy marriage or a happy relationship existed. Like he
Was
didn't think that was in the
possible.
cards for him. Yeah. So she was like, it was like he didn't even see this coming. And then he's like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even think this was possible. Like, you know, not to be cheesy, but like I've never felt this way before. You know,
His heart grew
Right.
3 sizes then.
it did. And he was like, what do I do with this? And so
Yeah.
Lauren Bacall was like, well, look, like I'm not one to run around with a married man. And like,
Yeah.
I also like, I don't want to just be someone's side piece. Like, I want to be your wife. Like, if we're going
Right.
to do this, like, we need to get married. Like,
We're going to do it the right way. Yeah.
I want to be a wife. I want to be a mother. Like, I don't want to just be like a fling. So like,
Right.
she took it very seriously. And again, she had a lot of people like supporting her and in her corner. And at no time in reading like through her, you know, her diary essentially. And there's some stuff that I think is definitely like messy, where it's like you clearly had this, we'll say, affair going on while
Yeah.
he was still ending this marriage. And there
Right.
was, you know, there's some stuff
Yeah.
that was like, oh God, not great. But at the same time, it was, I'm not saying it was great. I'm not saying it was perfect, but this wasn't a, oh my gosh, this middle-aged man was like preying on this
Preying on
young
it.
woman.
It wasn't like a
who-
predatory situation.
yeah.
Right.
This was in no way predatory, and she had a ton of agency, even though she was young. She had a lot of agency and support, and long term, because we have the benefit of hindsight,
Right.
this did prove to be a really wonderful and healthy relationship, and they stayed married until he died.
Yeah.
They had 2 kids. These were the only children he ever had. You know, he was apparently really scared to become a father, probably for
Yeah.
obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Like, he was very scared sort of at every turn of the
Every turn,
relationship.
I'm
And he
sure,
was gonna
yeah.
like let her down somehow. And she was like, no, like we're doing this. Like, we are a team. Like, we're in this. So he's like, okay,
Aw.
I've met you. I want to make this a thing. I just got to get rid of crazy here.
Right.
So this was,
I got to get rid of Sluggy, aka
Sluggy
Stabby.
over here.
gotta
yeah.
get rid of Sluggy. So so this was a problem. I have to read this part here because I love it. Bacall wrote in her memoir about the love she and Bogart shared. No one has ever written a romance better than we lived it, she said, regarding Bogart's personality. He was a gentle soul. He was very strong and very sure about what he believed in and what he thought was important and not important. He was a gentle man. I was very, very lucky to have even met him, much less been married to him. He had extraordinary gifts. He was much more of a complete individual than most are. He shared the kind of standards my mother had. Their values were very much the same. It's interesting. He had a tremendous character and a great sense of honor and would not tolerate lies, even if they asked him what he thought of a movie.
That's really what a.
I just
you can
got all
tell she really
teary-eyed.
loved him. She loved him
Yeah.
and saw him for who he was.
Yeah. So they met in 1943. The movie came out in 44. In 1944, they were filming The Big Sleep. So The Big Sleep had this sort of like disparate production history where it's like they filmed most of it and then they actually went back almost a year later and like filmed other like additional scenes or other parts of it because To Have and Have Not had come out and they were this huge box office success, so they wanted to add like more steamy chemistry for the two of them. So there were all these scenes that were like filmed like well after the fact. So there were scenes that were filmed like when they were still just like he wasn't even divorced yet, and then there were scenes that were filmed after they were married.
Oh, how funny.
So it was like
Weird.
oh, we filmed this scene on this day and he was having this horrible fight with Mayo. And then like, oh, we filmed this scene like after our honeymoon. Like, it's very funny. So in 1945, Mayo Methot filed for divorce in Las Vegas.
Oh, she filed.
She was the one to
Interesting.
file. I think
Huh.
he was finally like, he had to move out of their home 2 different times. So as he was with
Oh.
Lauren Bacall, there was one time, it's in the journal, it's super sad, where it was actually it was in 43. He was like, okay, that's it. Like I've met you. This is amazing. It was like the end of the year and he moved out, and he had moved out for like a couple months. And then Mayo came back and was like, I'm going to quit drinking.
One of those.
And he was super noble. And he was like, I have to give her a chance. And Bacall like writes this. She said, I respected it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, of
but
course
that
not.
he was like, I am an honorable man and I owe it, to her, I feel, which I'm like, I don't know if I would feel that way, but he felt he owed it to her to at least give her a chance. He's like, okay, like
she only stabbed me once.
She only stabbed me once.
They're hard to break up with, man. I broke up with mine 4 times.
She
wouldn't
only
take
tried
no for an answer.
She only tried to shoot me a handful of
Yeah,
times.
she missed. She missed.
Yeah,
she missed. And I can imagine Lauren Bacall, because much like Olivia's reaction when she was like 19, she never seemed like she was 19. She always seemed like she was in her 30s. She has that kind of old soul. I'm sure she kind of in her brain was like, I know what's happening.
Yes,
but he's got to figure it out.
They're like in an airport or something, and he just bursts into tears, and it's just like holding her.
Oh my god!
And he's like, my baby, like I've missed you so much, and he's just sobbing like at this airport, like.
Wow.
He was such a tough guy too in movies.
He's a big mush. He's a big mush. I know. So he finally moves out. I think in late 44 is when he finally is like, that's it. I am moving out of my house with you, Mayo. Like, this relationship is over.
I'm done.
So he was like, hold the Mayo.
Hold the Mayo.
Can you please have a lot of cake every time we record?
Olivia needs to be having a sugar high.
Every time. She is on. Okay.
So yes, Mayo was the one to actually file. She filed for divorce on May 10th in 1945 in a Las Vegas court, which then granted the divorce an hour after she filed.
Wow.
Vegas is like, we're getting it done.
The judge was like, I like Bogie and Bacall. Get her out of here.
11 days later, Bogart and Bacall got married on May 21st. So
11 days
they were
later?
red beans.
I'm surprised it was that long.
Right? The next day. She wasn't waiting in a hotel in Vegas to just do it.
Yeah.
So this brings us to our last section, the denouement, if you will. After the divorce, Methot retreated from the public eye for several months. Again, she's not an actress. Now she's not married to a celebrity anymore. She's just a person.
42,
The old hag. So she, I was like, she spent a period of time at Malabar Farm State Park, which was also the same place where Bogart and Bacall got married.
Wait, whoa.
I know. It's like they got married. It's like a state park in Ohio, and I'm sure it's pretty big. But they just had their wedding there, and they were like, okay, bye. But then she went and hung out there. I was like, what are you checking the crime scene? What's happening?
Did she camp out?
I don't know.
Also, when you say she was spending time in the state park, was she camping there?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. She pitched
so there was a resort there. There was stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There were places to stay.
I'm imagining she was hanging out at Lake Eola Park. What? Yeah. That's weird.
No.
Hiding in one of the swans.
And then
no. So in August of that same year, she attempted to resume her stage career in New York, but she was unsuccessful because she was really deep into alcoholism and also extremely depressed at this time.
Sure.
So in the late part of the 40s, she moved back to Oregon, and her mother had to take care of her because she was really spiraling. She died June 9th of 1951. In Portland. It was reported in the press at the time that she died of complications from an unspecified surgery, but her actual cause of death was acute alcoholism.
I was going to say alcoholism.
She literally drank herself to death. Super sad. So she's buried in Oregon alongside her parents. And this was where I was like, Bogart continued to send flowers to her crypt until he died in 1957.
What?
Yes. It's this is an unproblematic man.
This is not an awooga. This is an unawooga.
She gets an awooga, but he does not.
I was like, this is
better
messy.
than me.
Wow.
Well, better. Like we said, he and Bacall married in 1945. She was 20. He was 45. This was cute. At the time of the 1950 census, she was listed, and this was her legal name because Lauren was a stage name, but she was just listed as Betty Bogart on their address census because Betty is her actual name. She's Betty Bogart.
That's really cute.
They were living though in Benedict Canyon, which, as we know,
oh
Benedict Canyon.
George Reeves,
George
Manson
Reeves,
murder.
Manson.
Oh my God.
It's a dangerous place to be.
Danger.
Stay
I'm
out
like,
of there.
Oh no. Nothing bad happened though while they're living there.
Okay, thank God.
This was another key
He
thing.
had enough.
I know,
Like-
right? He was like, I'm done. It's fine. She wrote, like, our marriage, like, it wasn't perfect. We had our stuff, but it sounded like overall they had like normal type of disagreements.
Sure.
Like, he loved boats, as we talked about, and she would get really seasick. So
Oh,
he's like,
no.
I want you to come on my boat. And she's like, I really am going to try my best. But
I don't want to come on your boat, but okay.
Throw up on your boat, but
yes,
okay.
she took a bit more of a step back from her acting career because again she really wanted to be like a mom and a wife and be super present in that way, and she absolutely was. But they would host a lot of like parties and entertain at their house, and there was no stabbery but
Or gunshots.
No weapons were brandished.
no one was
weapons
shooting
were
anyone.
brandished.
It was amazing. Bogart was a founding member and the original leader of the Rat Pack. I didn't know this.
Wow.
In 1955, after a long party in Vegas, which was attended by Frank Sinatra, Judy Garland, Sidney Luft, Michael Romanoff, his wife Gloria, David Niven, Angie Dickinson, and others, including Dean
Martin.
Thank you, Dean Martin.
Dino.
So all these people, like the Rat Pack and their plus ones. So they'd had this like drunken night, and Bacall saunters in and surveys the wreckage and says, "You all look like a goddamn rat pack."
She came up with the name.
She came up with it. So
I
this
love her
name
so
stuck.
much.
Yes. So this name
You
stuck.
all look
And-
like a goddamn rat pack.
Rat Pack.
And apparently, I read this anecdote. I don't know if it's true, but apparently, after Bogart died, Sinatra, who was like one of his best friends, was so bereft he wanted to retire the name Rat Pack, but it had caught on in the popular imagination. So it actually would make him really sad when people talked about the Rat Pack because he's like, "Well, that was Bogey's thing." And
Oh, I didn't know they
Bogie.
were friends.
yes,
That's so
yes.
cool.
Yeah.
Aw.
So a heavy smoker and drinker, as we
Yeah.
established, Bogart developed esophageal cancer.
Ooh.
He, I think kind of put it off, but in January 1956, Lauren Bacall was like, "You need to see a doctor, like something's wrong." In March, he had surgery to remove his esophagus, 2 lymph nodes, and a rib.
Oh my
Um,
God.
This was not enough. It wasn't successful. They tried chemotherapy, but the cancer had metastasized by November. He was too weak to go up and down the stairs, but he still was in good spirits. And he just said, "Put me in the dumbwaiter and I'll ride down to the first floor in style."
Aw.
So Katharine Hepburn, Frank Sinatra, and Spencer Tracy visited him on January 13th, 1957. And Hepburn reported, "Spence patted him on the shoulder and said, 'Good night, Bogie.' Bogie turned his eyes to Spencer very quietly, and with a sweet smile, he covered Spence's hand with his own and said, 'Goodbye, Spence.' And Spence knew what he meant. So he fell into a coma and he died the next day.
Oh,
He weighed 80 pounds when he died.
oh my God.
I know. I was like, oh.
Guys,
So
I'm
he,
crying.
Jenna's sobbing, listeners. I cried when I read this too,
Oh
Jenna.
my God.
Like, oh, but he was buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park. He's in Glendale, California, in the Garden of Memory, which I guess is not open to the public. But he was buried with a small gold whistle that was part of a charm bracelet he had given to Bacall. And when they were married, and on it he wrote, "If you want anything, just whistle," which is, you know how to whistle, don't you, Steve?
You just put your lips
Oh.
together
I know,
and blow.
So,
Best line ever.
So she put that with his remains, so he's buried with the whistle.
Because it's when they fell in love.
I know. So Lauren Bacall lived a long time. She died at the age of 89 in 2014.
I remember when she died.
I know, like
Wasn't that long ago.
the last decade. So she had a stroke and died at 89. But she wrote in 1996, she was kind of reflecting on her life because she actually released her biography. She released it twice. She released it, I guess, like in like the late 80s. And then she updated it again in the late 90s because she was like, "Oh, I'm living longer.
I'm still alive.
Well, yeah, she was like, I have more thoughts." So this is actually called, her original biography was called Lauren Bacall By Myself. And this one is called By Myself and Then Some because she
Cute,
added on.
Added more.
And in a
Love it.
1996 interview, reflecting on her life, she told the interviewer, "I had one great marriage, She was married twice. I have
Sorry,
three
other guy.
great children and 4 great grandchildren. I'm still alive. I can still function. I can still work. You just learn to cope with whatever you have to cope with. I spent my childhood in New York riding subways and buses. And you know what you learn if you're a New Yorker? The world doesn't owe you a damn thing.
Ooh. That just gave me
Right.
chills.
I know, me too.
So that is the saga of the
Wow.
Battling Bogarts. And like, we know Bogie and Bacall, and like, you know, they as a Hollywood power couple, like they became sort of like, you know, famous, and everyone was like, oh, we love their love story. But like to get there was so fraught, like this pattern of, you know, basically his, you know, most of his adult life was, you know, these various like failed and or combative relationships. So he finally found happiness in the last, you know, decade of his life.
And their wedding pictures,
so sweet.
they're so happy.
Yeah.
I can't.
I love that he.
They
I
love
love
each
that
other.
he found her. You know.
Yeah, and then he was so you know, he was always so concerned for her and like what was the impact on her, and he didn't want her to be like the other woman or have like, you know, scrutiny by like, you know, the press, the public. Like he really did his best as he was trying to end this relationship that like would not end with this crazy woman. So there we have it, floozies.
Wow, what it
I
had such a
loved
lovely, heartfelt ending.
Yeah.
You know.
And I didn't know anything about that wife. I didn't know. I had no idea.
Wait,
it was always Bogie and Bacall in my brain.
How does?
Well, what do we have next on deck? Because we were confused about the news today.
It's Olivia
Am I
next
next?
time.
I think it's you, Olivia.
Okay. So we are doing the Broadway Butterfly, which is, and I actually think I pitched this last time because we thought that I was going this time.
I cut it out. There wasn't enough time.
Great. So this for the first time ever, let me pitch the Broadway Butterfly. It's the story of Vivian Gordon, who I love the term Broadway Butterfly.
That's
the Broadway
exciting.
Butterfly. Vivian Gordon.
This sounds deliciously theater New York.
I love it.
Coded.
It's got everything. It's got mobsters. It's got alcoholism. It's got prostitution, and it has brothels. So, and it all happens in and around Broadway.
This is all the greatest hits, Olivia.
We're almost done with season 2.
I know we're very close here. I think we've got 2 more episodes to record, plus our little retrospective. I like it. Very exciting.
I know.
We got to figure out what the hell that is.
What that's going to be.
Much like our Christmas special.
Or the hurricane special.
What should it
what
be?
Are we doing? What should we talk about?
What should we talk about, listeners? Tell us.
DM us with your suggestions.
Because we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And scene.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Wicked Stage Pod.
Follow us on Instagram and check out our Patreon for more exclusive content.
These deliciously wicked episodes drop every other Friday, so make sure you subscribe or follow and don't get left waiting in the wings.